We're going to take you out to the Loire Valley, based in Tours, and visit chateaux famous like Chenonceau, Clos-Luce, Amboise, onto Chambord, the most famous of all, as well as Cheverny and Azay, and we'll take you to the medieval town of Chinon and on to Blois. On to the Loire Valley. We'll be staying in the city of Tours. It's an excellent spot. They take very good care of the tourists in Tours. It's got an old town. The Place Plumereau is the center of the old town with these classic buildings with the half-timbered construction. Lots of restaurants here, of course. We enjoyed some great meals. And they have a Gothic cathedral, naturally, like any sizable French city. And a nice museum. The Museum of Fine Arts has got a good collection of French paintings, particularly. And there's the City Hall. Unfortunately, our hotel, the initial hotel, was right next to this construction site. So we moved the next day to the Grand Hotel right near the train station. Worked out very nicely. Had some gourmet meals. And then we moved along to the Chateau. Chenonceau is one of the most famous, straddling the river. And Tours itself makes a great base town for visiting the chateau. You could sign up for a tour as we did, traveling by a van that takes you from chateau to chateau, so you don't have to bother about driving. And your visit is pretty well all-inclusive. You get to go inside as well as enjoy the gardens and the beautiful exterior of these grand old mansions. Clos-Luce is the final home of Leonardo da Vinci. He lived here in the final 3 years of his life and created quite a few of his sketches and plans for his machines, as well as staging some festivities for Francis I, who was his host, who lived in the great chateau nearby of Amboise. Leonardo is buried in this small Gothic chapel right on the grounds of the Amboise Chateau. And you have nice views looking down in the village from the chateau. Walking through, you get to experience the rooms of Francis I and some of the other nobility who lived here. There's a statue of Leonardo in the gardens to commemorate his great presence, his final 3 years of life in Amboise. It's a charming old town with some excellent restaurants and naturally a pedestrian zone and some souvenir shops for you. The chateau is really like a fortified medieval castle. On to Chambord, the finest of all the chateaux in the Loire and the largest, with nearly 500 rooms. Has a famous spiral double staircase at its core, which is believed to have been designed by Leonardo himself. And you can walk up onto the roof of Chambord and enjoy the various turrets and pinnacles and the views all around you. It's second in size only to the Chateau of Versailles, making this one of the great national monuments of the country. They were filming a movie the day that we happened to be there. So the chateau was originally built for Francis I. Cheverny is still a private home today, and you can visit most of the castle as well as the grounds. Azay-le-Rideau is another one of the fabulous chateaux. It looks like it's floating. Azay presents this grand illusion of floating in the river, and it's surrounded by acres of beautiful gardens. There's a path that goes all the way around the outside of the chateau, which is highly recommended so you can see it from different perspectives. Gothic style ceiling in here, enjoying the different rooms that represent different time periods. Again, outside you get these great views with the reflections in the water. Looks like a perfect fantasy castle. Next, we visited the medieval town of Chinon. This is famous as a place where Joan of Arc visited with the King of France to implore him to kick out the English. And it's well preserved today. Walk through this one particular main lane and you're surrounded by medieval homes, and then it becomes a pedestrian shopping lane. And there's a castle up above that gives you a grand vista looking down on the village of Chinon. Then on to Blois. This is a major town with one of the largest of the chateaux that represents different time periods of architectural styles. And there's King Louis XII, who was the king who built that part of the wings of the chateau. There's a Renaissance wing that Louis built. Before him there was a Gothic structure, and afterwards a Baroque wing was added. So you have this grand combination of architectural styles all in one building. And the interior was a royal residence, for Louis XII was King of France at the time, and this was his home base for quite a while. So this was actually the capital of France for some time. On the outside there's the grand vistas, and you can look down at the old town below. The old section of Blois is about 6 blocks long and a few blocks wide, with a Gothic church as part of the ensemble of the old town. And then you just walk right over into the new town, which is also pedestrian. There are about 10 blocks of pedestrian shopping lanes in the city of Blois, so you have a very nice mix of the ancient and the modern here. And you can easily get there by train.